I'll let you know when you're connected.
Got it.
You're now live, sir.
Here we go. In compliance with the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, PL 1975, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by mailing the annual schedule of meetings and by electronic advance notice of at least 48 hours pursuant to NJSA 10-4-9.1 as permitted during a declared emergency to the Star Ledger, Union County local source, Kenilworth website, by posting such annual meeting schedule on the bulletin board at Borough Hall, reserved for such announcements, and by the proper filing of said notice with the borough clerk, formal action may be taken at this meeting. If you wish to attend this virtual meeting, please click on the following link and call into the number provided. Clicking on the link provides visual and audio access and will allow you to comment and/or ask questions at the proper time during the meeting. Calling the number will allow you to hear the meeting and also comment and/or ask questions at the proper time. The link will be posted as followed, I believe, by Kathy and/or Laura, but the phone number to dial in is 1-908-276-9090. This meeting is a judicial proceeding. Any questions or comments must be listed to issue that they are relevant to what the board may legally consider in reaching a decision, and decorum appropriate to a judicial hearing must be maintained at all times. May I clear that up and say decorum? Okay. Thank you. Can we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
of
United States of America
and to
and
the republic
for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mr. Paserno,
Here.
Mr. Shilkey. Mr. Shilkey? Oh, you're muted.
Oh, sorry, here. I apologize, here.
Mr. David?
Here.
Mr. Grimaldi?
Here.
Mr. Pantina? I heard him. Mr. Maggio?
Here.
Mr. Ladowdy?
Here.
Mr. Scuderi?
Here.
Mr. Herbalario?
Here.
Mr. Zaharchak?
Here.
Okay. At this point, we are now officially into our first Zoom workshop meeting. Kathy and Laura, myself, and some of the members that you see up on your screen had a test run on how we're going to conduct ourselves at this meeting. And there's going to be some pointers that I want to discuss with all of you who weren't here so that there is no mix-up in our conversations, that there's not 2 or 3 people talking at one time, and that the background noise is at a minimum so everything can be recorded and documented. First and foremost, what we're going to do is if someone has a question, they would kind of just raise their hand. There are other things that we could do by putting the screen to the side and put up a wave, but if we're reading a document or something, we may not be able to see it, but when we come up, whatever hand I see first in that order, I will recognize that person at that time. But because this is new to all of us, please give us some time to go in and out of that. Kathy, at this point, has the controls. She can mute us all, including me. She can open our microphones at any point. But on the most part, as the chair, I will be running the meeting and directing each and every one of you to get your points across when necessary. In addition to that, We also have to be cognizant of our phones. I'm hoping my phone is off at this point. There should be no texting amongst one another. Of course, if there's an emergency, just get your hand up and go do what you have to do. But please be careful because we've seen a lot of things on Zoom meetings, inclusive of people getting up, having a nice shirt on like myself, but having pajama pants on the bottom. So we're going to try not to have that happen tonight. So with that being said, Kathy, did you want to add something from our meeting and or Laura that I may have missed in that brief dialogue?
I don't have anything to add.
I have nothing to add, Chairman.
Okay, so with that being said, I think this, of course, and I don't want to get on the bandwagon with people saying this is the new norm, but this works quite well. I've been doing Zoom meetings now for the past couple of months, and it works, whether it's on a pre-construction meeting, a council meeting, or different associations that I've been involved with. And if we all can just follow the rules, it works pretty well. So with that being said, does anyone have anything to add to this portion of organization to the planning board Zoom meeting? Are you
No,
raising
sir,
your hand,
Mr.
Patrick?
Chairman.
No. I'm sorry. Seeing
I
none?
have nothing. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so now that we're all together, there's some things that we definitely need to catch up on because we're not going to go into our board meeting material. Kathy, were you raising your hand?
No, I'm sorry, Marco is here and I just was letting him know that we're in the middle of a meeting.
Okay. Some of the things that I wanted
Work
to
session.
some of the things that I did want to discuss. So Kathy's not following her own rules, you see. So it is at right now it's 6:39. Of course, we're going to be in session by 7 o'clock. But one of the things that I'd like to talk to Mr. David and the rest of the board about is continuing the master plan committee and what his thoughts are on that and how is everything going with that.
Yeah, so I don't have, this is Greg, obviously. I don't have much of an update. We pretty much have been stalled while we're all at the stay-at-home order. Where we left off, though, was that we were mostly complete with reviewing the existing master plan, making our notes. I had committed, I guess, to update I was able to get my hands on a Word version of the existing master plan. It had kind of committed to updating the Word document with, you know, the modifications, the comments, and so on that we had handwritten into the paper document. Unfortunately, I have not gotten around to that, but now that we seem to be back in session, I will make every effort to get that going. So we need to obviously pick up the meetings again. And for July, we can, you know, I don't know at that point if we will be able to meet in person or not, but if not, then obviously we will have to arrange for a Zoom meeting to get this going again. So that's really the long and the short of it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Greg. And that's what I was alluding to. It's becoming now a short year, and all of a sudden we have so many things that we are going to be confronted with. November is around the corner, and there's some things that I think we can talk about again, like the master plan, because I think you had a great team that you were working with, and everybody had a lot to offer. And I was wondering if you were opposed and the committee that you were working with, which is just about everyone, would entertain having your own Zoom meeting to maybe bi-weekly or something like that. whatever you were doing before, but just doing it on Zoom. And if
Yeah,
that-
we were basically meeting the first Wednesday of every month. And we were meeting from, what was it, guys, 7 to 9, I believe. So putting in 2 hours. And, you know, actually the committee itself, if you don't recall, had been shrunk to just about 5 of us. And obviously all board members were able to attend. And if someone did, we obviously let them have their 2 cents. But generally speaking, with the small group, we got through the whole document. And like I said, where we left off before shutdown was my committing to, like I said, getting it into Word and then circulating the Word document to everybody so that they could start reviewing. So I'm not opposed to, you know, to having additional meetings if required. But you know, probably again, I need to get that document updated and out, and then we can really discuss, you know, where we should proceed. Because again, we've done that review as a committee. Now we need to share it, I think, with whoever the next step is in the process. You know, if that's with you, Mr. Chairman, and Mr. O'Brien and Mr. Rego or whatever, and then the full board. I mean, again, we can certainly discuss that. But like I said, I think.
So with that being said, I would like to see if we could get together maybe before the next first Wednesday of the month, and maybe you could take the floor, Mr. David, and talk to us about what you've already put together, and then we could all listen in, take our notes, and if you had something in a Word doc that we could read prior, maybe we could just set up another Zoom meeting. Now, I don't know if Laura or Kathy would have to host that again, but we could ask them how that would work, or if one of us could host it, being a committee.
Yep.
But do all board members have a copy of the master plan that we were working on so they could follow along with the changes? Or is it online? They could go through it?
With a show of hands, can everybody tell me how many people have a hard copy of the master plan? Okay, I see maybe 2 or 3 of us do not have it, and it would be a good idea to have it. I mean,
Mr. Chairman, sorry to interrupt, but you can download it from, you know, the Borough website, I believe. That's in PDF format, which is why I spoke to. Luckily, I was able to get my hands on the Word version so that I could make the modifications directly and then get the Word version out to the board. So that's, but having said that, you know, folks can start to review it, and maybe they have their own comments that ultimately will get added to the work that the committee did. So anyway.
Okay, well, it sounds like a good idea, Greg, but I think I would like to figure out what you guys already worked on, so we're not redundant in our practice, and then move on to something else. Because I know with you as the head of that, I know you exhausted quite a bit of material already.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense, and I do agree with you that that's probably the best way to go. So I kind of forget how much the guys on the committee can maybe remind me how much we changed and modified and made comments on, to where you know, I'm thinking of my workload to get that. I see Mr. Grimaldi has his hand up, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, if you're done, I will recognize.
Yeah, Rob's on the committee, so he might want to add something.
Okay,
So
Mr. Grimaldi.
To your point, Rich, Mr. David, of course, did a great job with it. And there was a couple of sections that were modified quite a bit. Others that were just some grammar and updating from 10 years ago. And there was a lot that I think we were pretty complete with it. And I think we were at the point of probably needing some guidance from our planner to as far as how to update some things, and or I know there's a piece that Kevin needs to do as far as updating with all the census stuff, but there was some ordinance information and stuff that I think we wanted to run by Kevin before we brought it to the whole board. But it was definitely something that we could, still do as we were doing publicly on Wednesdays. But we got a lot done, I believe.
Yeah.
Mr. David?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I was thank Rob for that to help refresh my memory where we left off. So the first Wednesday of July happens to be July 1st, which, is basically 3 weeks away. So I have to be very honest to say, I don't know that I can commit to updating the Word document between now and then. I will do my best, but we also have to get it to everybody and give them an opportunity, including the people who are on the committee, to confirm that my updates are accurate. So anyway, we may have to maybe delay the first committee meeting in July to beyond the first Wednesday so that I get a little more time
That's,
to update that document. But I will commit to, let's say, and also I am planning to go to a long 4th of July weekend. So the next Wednesday is July 8th. So let's say by July 15th, which is the third Wednesday of July, I will commit that the Word document will be updated and circulated at least a week before that date.
that sounds great.
July
to me.
15th.
Before I make my statement, I think Frank Mazzio, you had your hand up and you need to unmute.
Yeah, I had in my notes that we were planning a recap meeting. Was that going to be post your edits, Greg?
I think so, Frank. I think that's what I recall. Again, you guys correct me if I'm wrong on that, but it would be best if we got the document updated and out to anybody that is going to do the next level of review, so that again, we can all be looking at the same thing, and as opposed to me reading my handwritten modifications. So I mean, again, committee, unless you disagree, that's my thoughts.
I think we're good there. So the week prior to the 15th, we should have something like in a Word doc that we could review. And then if we could all meet back here on the 15th for the committee meeting as an overview, as Frank and yourself just said, that would really bring us up to speed. That doesn't mean that some of us or the rest of us who have some thought process have that information jotted down that we could add to the chairman of the committee meeting, Mr. David, and the entire committee. So we could get some things moving and helping that process. Because what's going on with Merck, 2023 will be here at the blink of an eye. And we really need to be prepared. So we started this a year ago and a year has passed, right? So, okay. Anybody want to add that? Can everybody make the July 15th, or do you need to check calendars?
Do we have to notify that?
Well, again, we're all board members have always been welcome to attend, but are we talking about it would be the committee plus the chairman plus the planner? I mean, that's the main participants, Mr. Chairman?
Correct, Greg. And
Okay.
from when we spoke with Mr. Rego in the past, he said the committee is the committee, but all members can join in on the committee, and was his advice last year.
Right.
So I don't think we would have to notice, because it is really a committee meeting and an overview of a committee. Am I correct, Mr. Rego?
You're muted. Lower left-hand corner.
Anybody know sign?
Mr. Rego, lower left-hand corner.
Can you unmute him, Kathy?
How's
There he
that?
is.
We
Oh,
got
There
it.
you go.
Okay, Mr. Rego.
That was fine, Rich, what you just said.
Oh, that was good. Okay.
Whatever you
So-
said. No.
So then I don't know, by a show of hands, can we all do this? Do we have to check calendars? I mean, July 15th is over a month away. I mean, of course, I'm prepared to do that. And I would like to see if we could, to give Greg and the committee as much support as possible to move forward, because this is at this point becoming serious business.
No, I'm good.
I'm good on the 15th.
Me too.
Okay. Nick is good. Mike,
Schulte's good.
I'm good.
He's good. Darren is good. It looks like everybody's good. Patrick, did I see you?
Yep, I'm available.
Okay. Christian?
Okay, I mean, it's, from my perspective, as long as the committee members and the chairman and Mr. O'Brien are available, then we're good. And anybody else is obviously welcome to attend, but they're not essential. Yeah.
Okay. The only thing we now have to do is figure out from Laura and or Kathy who and how we could host the meeting. Of course, I know how to do that, and Kathy is now a professional at it.
Do we have, Rich, do we have to Zoom? I thought you can meet 25 people or under. Can't you meet in this courtroom, like all 7 of you or 6 of you?
Yeah.
Yes.
And you can social distance in the courtroom because it's certainly big enough.
Yes.
I'm fine.
Who's speaking?
I'm good, Mr. Ladati. I'm good with the meeting if you want to meet, as long as we keep her 6 feet away. I'm good.
Okay. If the court is open to us and you're allowing us to come in there, I would rather do it there. It would be much easier and we could get more done, I think.
Although I think July 15th might be, I'm not sure if it's a council meeting that night. I'd have to check the council schedule.
Aren't you on
That's a
summer break?
Wednesday, right, Greg?
It is. Aren't you on summer break at that point? No?
We have one in July, but I personally am not sure which Wednesday in July our meeting is. I'd have to go look at it, but
The
I
July
think it was
council meeting is July 8th.
There you go.
July 8th.
oh, okay, good. All right, so we're
We're
good for the 15th.
Okay, so we're getting close to the 7 o'clock hour, and I know that,
Rich,
yes,
are you going to mention the master plan consistency review and the resolution for the planner that we're going to vote on during the regular meeting, right?
yes, that I was going
At the
to
public meeting, yeah.
at the public meeting.
Okay.
Okay. So again, getting towards the 7 o'clock hour, and I know we just came off COVID-19, which was not a vacation at all by any means. But if you could all get over to Kathy, any dates in the calendar when you know you're not going to be able to make a Zoom meeting or an in-person meeting up at the City Hall, can you please get that over to her so we can definitely keep our planning board in an upward move? Anyone have anything else? No? Okay. All right. I guess really that's all I have until we open up the meeting. I don't know if we are supposed to now get up out of our chair at 7 o'clock and go around the chair and then sit back down.
I don't know how this works.
So Laura, you're still with us?
Yes, Chairman.
Okay. Laura, at the 7 o'clock hour, I mean, in the next 4 minutes, we'll close this meeting and then we'll open up the meeting, our regular meeting. And we just.
Yeah, we stay right here.
Right?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay. So I guess that's about it. No one has any question about the Zoom meetings or,
Nick's
Mr.
got his
Pantina?
hand up, Mr. Chairman.
I'm sorry?
Nick Pantina has his hand up, Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Mr. Bantina, you're on mute, Nick.
Can you hear me now?
We can.
Okay.
How do you get everybody on screen as opposed to just looking at one person?
Upper right-hand corner.
Nick, you're on your cell phone, correct?
Yeah, on my cell phone.
You're
Upper
only
right
gonna
corner
see,
says
you're
mute.
only gonna see who the main speaker is at any
Okay.
time.
No
Hey,
problem.
Nick,
Gallery view.
Nick, try swiping left or right, Nick.
What's that?
Swipe left or right. It should be able to get more people on the screen.
Oh, there you go. There you go. All right, very good. Thank you.
Do we all look better now, Nick?
You do. Well, I'm telling you do. I don't know. I look fatter. I'm gonna go back to single screen.
Okay. Greg, hey, not Greg. Kevin O'Brien, do you have anything for us before we go out there that you want to talk about? You got about 2 minutes.
In terms of the master plan, Chairman, the master plan was adopted in the spring of 2011, so you do have some time on that. There's no rush to get it done by the very end of this year. You do have a few months into next year, just to let you know that's factual. You've got a couple of things in front of you tonight that are not usual in our course of events. The first thing is the County of Union, the Galloping Hill Service Yard. That is a courtesy review of a county facility, and that will be heard by the board. The board's comments will be heard by the county. They'll be drawn up in a resolution by our attorney, and then it is up to the county whether or not they wish to accept those comments or not accept those comments. We have no jurisdiction over the county since they are a superior body, but we do have the right and ability to give them comments based upon the plan. Another item we're going to have tonight is a master plan consistency review. All ordinances that go into the land use ordinance need to be reviewed by the planning board as to whether or not they are consistent with the master plan. If we make a finding that a proposed ordinance is consistent with the master plan, then the borough council can proceed with adopting that resolution, that ordinance, excuse me. There's a couple of tweaks to that, but that's the general way that it goes. So those are two out of the ordinary. And then the last thing we've got, it's also out of the ordinary for us because we've never done redevelopment here in the borough before. The last item before you is a resolution authorizing the planner to conduct a redevelopment study of that area on 26th Street. The planning board has been directed by the borough council to authorize a study. The next resolution is the planning board's authorizing me to do it and then reporting back to you with those results. And then at some point in the future, the board can accept that study, change that study, or reject that study, and then forward it to the borough council for their action.
Anybody want to respond or have a question to that before we close?
Actually, I'd just like to thank Kevin. That was a very outstanding summary of what we have going on tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, can someone make a motion to close the workshop?
Mr. Chairman, I will make a motion to adjourn the workshop.
Schulke seconds.
Okay. The motion was made by Mr. David, second by Mr. Shelkey. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, would you like me to bring the guests in on camera, or do you only want to bring them in when you're ready to speak with them?
I think we need to bring the guest in on camera.
Okay.
Laura?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Maybe we should hold off until we're ready to speak. It might.
Okay, no worries.
Okay. Okay. Good to go? Kathy?
Yes, yes.
In accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, PL 1975, adequate notice of this meeting has been approved by mailing the annual schedule of meetings by the electronic advance notice of at least 48 hours pursuant to NJSA 10491 as permitted during a declared emergency to the Star Ledger Union County Local Source Kenilworth website by posting such annual meetings scheduled on the bulletin board at Borough Hall reserved for such announcements and the proper filing of said notice with the borough clerk. Formal action may be taken at this meeting. If you wish to attend this virtual meeting, please click on the following link and/or call into the number provided. clicking on the link provides visual and audio access and will allow you to comment and/or ask a question at the proper time during the meeting. Calling the number will allow you to hear the meeting and also comment and/or ask questions at the proper time. The phone number is 908-276-9090. This meeting is a judicial proceeding. Any questions or comments must be limited to issues that are relevant to the board that the board may legally consider in reaching a decision, and decorum appropriate to judicial hearing must be maintained at all times. Can we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
One nation, under God, indivisible,
indivisible,
liberty and
liberty,
justice
justice
for all.
for all. Thank you. Okay. Roll call, please.
Mr. Paserno,
Here.
Mr. Shilkey,
Here.
Mr. David,
Here.
Mr. Grimaldi,
Here.
Mr. Bentina,
Here.
Mr. Mazzio,
Here.
Mr. Ladowdy,
Here.
Mr. Scuderi,
Here.
Mr. Herbalario,
Here.
Mr. Zaharchek,
Here.
and Mr. McMahon.
Here.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Can we have a motion to approve the February 13 meeting minutes?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Okay, the motion was made by Mr. Grimaldi, seconded by Mr. Scuderi. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Moving on to resolution legal services for the planning board attorney. And I have something here that I need to read. And here we go. This resolution says, whereas pursuant to the fair and open process rule, advertisements for proposal were published in the local source and posted on the Borough of Kenilworth's website, and proposals were received and reviewed for planning board attorney for the year 2020. And whereas after review of said proposal, Louis P. Rego, 25 Lindsley Drive, Suite 200, Morristown, New Jersey, 07960, was appointed by the planning board on January 1st, 2020. Now therefore, be it resolved after review of said proposal that the planning boards appoint Louis P. Rego as planning board attorney for the year 2020 at a rate of $1,000 per month and $165 per hour for litigation matters as deemed necessary by the planning board, and the same is hereby confirmed effective January 1, 2020.
Mr. Chairman, I will move the read resolution.
So moved by Greg David, seconded by
I'll
Mr.
second it.
Grimaldi. Roll call, please.
Mr. Paserno,
Yes.
Mr. Shilkey,
Yes.
Mr. David,
Yes.
Mr. Grimaldi,
Yes.
Mr. Bentina,
Yes.
Mr. Mazzio,
Yes.
Mr. Ladowdy,
Yes.
Mr. Scuderi,
Yes.
Mr. Herbalario,
Yes.
Okay. Welcome aboard,
Mr. Sa-
Lou. No, I'm sorry.
Mr. Saharchek,
Yes.
John,
Yeah, it was muted. Yes.
and Mr. McMahon.
Yes.
Okay. That's everyone?
Yep.
Okay, Lou, again, welcome aboard. Okay, any communications, Kathy?
None, Chairman.
Okay, thank you. We have old business, application 2, certificate of nonconformity, Camilla Ariel. I want to yield to Mr. Rego. Mr. Rego, can you please bring us up to speed on the postponement? Mr. Rego,
He's muted.
you need to unmute. Kathy, you can't control him?
Can I
I should be
control him?
okay. I should be okay.
Okay.
Am I okay now?
Yes.
Mr. Rego.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, it's just going on and off. Okay. The board may recall, we started this application right before the pandemic hit for certificate of nonconformity. Since then, we've not met. The applicant was scheduled for tonight. We received a letter from Stephen Hale. He had apparently had an issue contacting his client. He requested that we put this off until the July, I believe it's the July 9th meeting. He extended our timing to make a decision through the end of July. If it needs to be further extended, I'm sure he will accommodate us. The only thing I want to add, which the applicant's attorney totally agrees with, is that given the starts and stops with this application, I've asked that they renotice and republish for the July 9th meeting, and they do not have a problem with that. So what's in front of the board is just carrying it to July 9th. This is not a no further notice situation. They will renotice and republish.
Thank you, Mr. Rego.
Okay.
Okay. Anyone have any comment for Mr. Rego? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move on to our next item, which is new business. And I think at this time, Kathy and Laura, I think you could bring everybody in at this point. Mr. O'Brien?
Chairman, I note that the attorney for the applicant O'Reilly was on my list a moment ago. Seems to have disappeared. I did not know if he wanted to say anything or not. That was Mr. Bonner.
Mr. Bonner. Is Mr. Bonner out there?
He was listed at the bottom. He seems
He
to have.
he was popping in and out. Currently, I don't have him on our participants board.
Okay, let me do this officially then, because we're moving on to new business. Let me just put this out there. This is a zoning application 1-10, County of Union, Galloping Hill Service Yard, 21 North 31st Street, Kenilworth, New Jersey, Block 184, Lot 3. And who's here on behalf of that? Oh,
This is Mike Brennan from Union County.
hello, Mr. Brennan. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Mr. Campbell and Mr. Terafasi from Union County were having some difficulty getting on, but they are attempting.
Okay.
Would you?
Old dogs and new tricks.
Yes. Mr. Brennan, or let me ask Mr. Rego.
Yes.
Mr. Rego, seeing that the attorney needed to speak here, would we like to push this and go to the master plan consistency review and give them enough time to come back to this? Would you like to do that, Mr. Brennan?
If you need the attorney present, I certainly am familiar with the project and can update you, but if it needs to be through an attorney, then yes, certainly we can wait.
Rich, I think that's a good idea. Why don't we move on? Neither the master plan consistency, well, that should not take long. And when Mr. Campbell does come on, if you'd let us know, then we can interrupt what we're doing and get back to you guys. I think if we're going to have a courtesy review, we should have some form to it. And if he's available, fine. I've done reviews without the attorney present, but it's good if he's trying to get on board, then let's give him some time to get on board.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Mr. Vice Chair, Mr. David, you okay with that?
Yes, that's perfectly fine. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I think the board is all in favor of that. So if you don't mind, we'll move on to the next order of business. First of all, let me make sure, Mr. Brennan, you're okay with that as well? I want to make sure everybody is heard.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate your patience. Thank you.
Yeah, just barge in when your attorney is available and we'll see what we can do.
Will do. Appreciate it.
As Mr. Rego just barged in. Okay. So what we have now is we're going to go to the master plan consistency review of the land use ordinance. And I think what I'm going to do at this point is yield again to Mr. O'Brien to take the floor and have him talk about some of these items.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the planning board, as I discussed earlier, has the responsibility of reviewing any new amendments to the land use ordinance and recommending them to the Borough Council. What you have in front of you is a draft article for the land use ordinance that discusses enforcement violations and penalties. This information had been scattered through the 2015 ordinance, and over the last couple of years, it became obvious that that was not working for the borough. Came to a head in the fall of 2019, and in collaboration with the Borough Council, members of the board, I prepared a draft that discusses how enforcement of the zoning ordinance will occur, as well as assessing violations and penalties. This is all in one place. It's going to be its own article within the land use ordinance. And after your review of it, it would be up to the board to pass a resolution declaring whether or not this proposed article is consistent with the master plan, and then referring it to the Borough Council for action.
Okay, let me just comment on that. I remember this going on and on for a while. I do think that the study is absolutely necessary. I also think that this study should not be hurried, however, be thorough, and it should be very well thought out. I think you need the time to put into this, to bring it back to the board, you know, in a not only a timely manner, but in a not so much an expeditious manner. So,
Chairman, if I may interrupt, my apologies. We're discussing the land use ordinance now, which is the Article 36 enforcement violations and penalties.
right. I'm sorry, Mr. O'Brien. I was ahead of myself.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. David, did you have something to say?
No, I think, you know, my initial question was, you know, what brought it about? I think Mr. O'Brien obviously just spelled that out. So I think I'm good.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. So basically what they're
Rich.
asking, yes, sir? Who's speaking?
Rich, it's Lou. It's
Okay.
Lou.
Okay, hold on a second, Lou.
Sure.
Laura and/or Kathy, I can't see everybody. I only have 5 people on the side. So is there another way I could see people either raising their hand rather than shouting out?
Up at the top, do you have it set to speaker view, Mr. Chairman?
I have.
Top right corner? Okay.
Okay. All right, Lou, go ahead.
2 things. First of all, in my experience with these types of reviews, the consistency, normally our planner would take a position. It's consistent. It's substantially consistent. It's not inconsistent. There's a number of different shades of that. Kevin, I'm assuming since you drafted this, in your view, it's consistent with our master plan.
As your borough planner, I believe that this is consistent with our master plan.
Okay.
Our master plan does call for enforcement of the ordinance, as well as penalties to be assessed when the
Okay.
ordinance is not followed.
All right. That would go a long way toward our ultimate, toward the planning board's recommendation that it is consistent with the master plan. The other question I had for you, Kevin, on the first page of the proposed ordinance section, it's 36.3 certificates and permits, temporary use permits.
Yes.
Okay. If you flip the page over, it talks about situations where maybe a temporary use permit might be appropriate under certain circumstances, and the zoning officer would have the authority to issue that. The top of the next page, it talks about the planning board may, et cetera, direct the zoning officer to issue a permit. do we really want the planning board to be able to do that? I don't know if we want to do that. I mean, if there's a crisis, how can we get the planning board together and direct you to issue or not issue a permit? That's something, I don't know if we want to be involved in that as a planning board. That's my thought. I don't know. Maybe the zoning officer could do that.
Mr. O'Brien?
That's a policy issue for the board. We threw it in there because we did not think the zoning officer on their own should have that power to allow something that is not allowed in the ordinance of their own volition. This refers to something that's a non-conforming use, but the board could, under special circumstances as defined by the board, grant that temporary use permit. We were reluctant in our discussions of setting this up, of giving the authority to the zoning officer.
Right.
It just seemed to be a lot of power for one person.
Yeah, we've had, in the context of zoning board representation, many of my boards have had matters where someone wants to sell Christmas trees for a month at a time on a residential zone. And it's not permitted. They come to the zoning board and we quickly hear it. And if it's reasonable, we grant the temporary use variance for a 12-month period of time, etc. There are temporary permits for, fireworks displays and parades and all that. But if it's an emergent matter, I understand we can't turn a zoning officer loose. I mean, if we had it may not be appropriate, but I think we need to rethink that, because it might be cumbersome to have the planning board as an entity get involved and direct you what to do or what not to do. I could see if someone came in front of the planning board wearing their zoning board hat, where they could get relief for a period of time. But for a permit, I think we should think about that, but which is fine. I mean, we don't need to make a change now, but I think it's I was just thinking it through. And I don't know if you want to.
Mr. Rego, Mr. O'Brien, I'd like to hear what the board has to say on that, because you bring up a good issue.
Okay.
Anyone from the board have something to add or not to that? Seeing none.
No, I think Mr. Pantina has a comment.
Mr. Pantina, please.
Yeah, sorry about that. If you don't feel comfortable with the planning board turning the zoning officer loose, as you said, as you may think, like in the case of an emergency, how are you going to get the board together? Why don't you have someone else of the borough do it, like possibly either the borough engineer or I guess, I don't know, council or something like that. To have somebody else that would be around on a daily basis, as opposed to waiting for the group to come back on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
Mr. Rego?
Yeah, Nick, I think that's a good concept. I'm just trying to get the board as an entity out of the way. Maybe the zoning officer, in consultation with the engineer, sometimes the municipal attorneys get involved, sometimes the mayors get involved, just so long as there's constraints and guardrails, so that we don't have a zoning officer and an engineer permitting something for 2 years when it's not permitted, and that would be circumventing the zoning board's power. So I think with appropriate restrictions and guardrails, we can do something like that. I see, but the zoning officer may not want to stick his or her rear end out there, but maybe in consultation with the engineer and something else, we could do that.
Okay.
Right. I mean, you can write it up. Sorry.
Nick,
you can.
Nick, I have to go to the show of hands so we can keep order, okay? So we're gonna go to Mr. Grimaldi first, then we have Mr. O'Brien, then you, Nick, okay?
I was going to say, well, first, we're Zooming now, so we could get the board together more quickly than we ever could before, but I understand what you're saying, and maybe it's a matter of that you let the engineer and the zoning board, the zoning officer take a statement and approve it until such time as the next normal meeting. So it limits the time that this seat of the pants ruling gets put in place, and then we get the full board's input on it within the month's time.
Okay, Mr. O'Brien.
I was going to make that suggestion, Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Grimaldi.
Okay, Mr. Pantina.
Ditto.
Okay. Well, did anyone else have a hand? That seemed to be a good resolution to have that until they could meet again. That's
Right.
a great idea. Great idea, Mr. Grimaldi.
Good, very good.
Are you raising your hand, Grimaldi? Yes. Go ahead.
Do we have to vote on this tonight, or can we read it more? Because I'm sorry, I just read it today.
Well, we only have a page and a half here resolution. I mean, how much?
Okay.
How much do we have to get through here? I'd like to see if we could get this done.
Yeah.
If everyone don't mind, Mr. Rego.
Well, and again, Kevin has indicated that as our planner, he views this as consistent with the master plan, which is a key, from a planning perspective. Certainly the board can add tweets here and there, but I think right now we're just looking for, is it overall consistent? And it seems to be yes.
Okay. Mr. Grimaldi?
Question, second page, A, number 1, well, with the fines. So that's no more than $1,000, but that's $1,000 per day? Okay.
Was that a yes, Mr. O'Brien?
Yes,
Okay.
unless you're an architect.
Thank you.
Okay, so why don't we do this? Is everyone on this board understand and have read the resolution, and are we okay with it?
Yes.
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 I see.
Yes.
Yes,
Yep.
good. Thumbs up. Okay. Do we need to enter that that statement that was made by Mr. Grimaldi into that as a condition? Or how would you like to handle that, Mr. Reagan?
I think,
Is that Mr. Reagan?
Yeah, normally, when the board determines that it's consistent with the master plan, traditionally, like, there'll be a letter written, and it can be written by Kathy, it can be written by you, Rich, it can be written by Kevin, that the board met on such and such a night and determined that proposed ordinance, whatever, is consistent with the master plan. That's all you really need. If we want to add, however, we recommend the following modifications, that's fine. It can be done by letter.
Okay. Mr. Rego, can I just hold you up a minute?
Yeah.
There's someone out there that has some background noise, and I don't want Kathy to mute everyone at this point. If someone could just figure out if that's a TV or someone in the background and help us out, because it's very, very much distorted. Okay, thank you. So, Mr. O'Brien?
Thank you, Chairman. If the board and the chair directs, we can revise this draft to make it that the zoning officer has the authority to grant one of those temporary use permits in consultation with other board professionals, and such decision will be ratified, reviewed by the planning board at their next regularly scheduled meeting.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. Everyone else?
And can add for no longer than X days, 30 days, just so we have a time limit.
Okay, 30 days is fine. Mr. Grimaldi, I saw your hand.
Thumbs up.
Okay, thumbs up. Okay, are we all good with that? Looks good.
Yes, sir.
How about a vote on this?
I make a motion to approve it with recommendations.
I second.
Okay, the motion was made by Mr. Grimaldi to approve with a revised recommendation, is that correct?
No, we'll revise the document, so one whole document will go to the council.
Okay, and
Revise it
seconded
around.
by Mr. Pantina?
Yes.
All in favor? Sorry, roll call, please.
Mr. Paterno,
Yes.
Mr. Shoki,
Yes.
Mr. David,
Yes.
Mr. Grimaldi,
Yes.
Mr. Pantina,
Yes.
Mr. Mazzio,
Yes.
Mr. Ladowdy,
Yes.
Mr. Scuderi,
Yes.
Mr. Hobalario,
Yes.
Mr. Zaharchek,
Yes.
Mr. McMahon,
Yes.
and Mr. Colello.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, that's great. I'd like to see if we have Mr. Brennan back and maybe the attorney showed up, and let's go backwards a little bit. Brennan, you still out there?
Hello,
Here.
Kevin Camp.
Kevin
Sorry,
Campbell.
Kev-
are you in?
Yeah, Kevin
Happy to
Campbell
bring
of
him
the
back
Union
in.
County Council's office.
Okay, Kevin Campbell. Hold on, let me get that down, please. Can we see Mr. Campbell, Kathy?
Can we see him? I think he's on the, I see a phone. I don't think we can see his picture, I think.
Oh, I'm sorry. If somebody could instruct me how to do that without breaking this connection, which took me nearly a half hour to get. I'm not technical savvy.
Laura, do you know how to show Mr.
Campbell.
Campbell?
Not without breaking the connection, no.
I don't know if
Okay,
it's
let's,
critical to see him. I'll leave it up to the board, as long as we can hear him and hear his witnesses and see what they have to say.
So we would have to, wouldn't we have to, well, let me ask Mr. Rego. Mr. Rego, do we need to swear witnesses here?
I've seen it done both ways. We're not required to. Again, this is a courtesy review. The county is going to be telling us what they would like to do. We can make recommendations if we think it will make the project better. The MA can either smile and leave the room or pick up our recommendations or not. So I don't think we need to have anyone sworn in at this point in time.
I don't necessarily, well, I'm not going to say that. So, Mr. Campbell, then, I guess you have, there's witnesses and people here that you're going to present as well?
yes, that's correct. Just by way of introduction, in case anybody is unaware of it, we're here before the board for a courtesy review of a storage shed that we intend to put up in Galloping Hill Golf Course in the area where there is already a park facility for various park operations and golf course operations. I will begin by asking Mike Brennan to testify about or just to explain what the shed involves and what purpose it'll serve for park operations.
Okay. Let me just conduct a little order here. First of all, I hear a lot of things going on, and it's difficult for us to record this. So I'm going to ask again, if you have any background phones, anything else going on, please shut them down during this meeting, please. Mr. Rego, did you want to say something before Mr. Brennan took the floor? And it would be nice if you were unmuted.
Unmute. There we go.
There you go.
What I'd like to do is to swear in Kevin and Chris, our consultants, and let's take them one at a time. With the county's consultants, we can swear them in as well, just to cover the bases.
Good.
All right, Kevin and Chris, are you there?
Yes.
All right, with regard to this matter, do you swear that your comments and testimony will be true, so help you God?
I do.
All right, and it's Chris Cueto is the board engineer. Kevin O'Brien's our board planner. Mr. Campbell, if we could have, is it Mr. Brennan?
Yes, Michael Brennan.
Michael Brennan. Mr. Brennan, with regard to this matter, do you swear that your comments and testimony shall be the truth?
I do.
Okay. Mr. Campbell, why don't you just introduce Mr. Brennan, tell us who he is, what he does, and then he can tell us what he needs to tell us.
Yes, Mr. Brennan is the Director of Park Maintenance at the Union County Department of Parks. I will ask him to give a little bit of background about himself for the board to begin with.
You've got the floor, Mike, Mr. Brennan.
Yeah, as a county employee in Parks and Recreation for the last 10 to 15 years, just a little by way of background, people who aren't familiar with the site, it was the former trades of Parks and Recreation. There were some old buildings there that were removed when golf course operations took over, and they put a new building up. Subsequently, the trades were assumed into the Elizabeth operation under facilities in Elizabeth. Obviously, the constraints of Elizabeth for some of the trades, the space is very tight and keeps getting tighter. So the county would like to put up a storage shed for its masonry operations for various, and there is the director of facilities here as well, who can tell you exactly what the masons do daily, but basically it would be a storage shed for their scaffolding and some of their equipment, etc. They would not be accessing it, reporting there daily, but they would be accessing it likely daily. So as way of traffic, there would be no parking necessarily on site, but there would be coming and going out of the service entrance as they used to and still do for golf operations.
Mike, so the shed would serve the purpose for park maintenance at the golf course?
Maintenance of the golf course, maintenance of the parks, and any other county facilities that need maintenance.
Okay.
From a masonry.
Do you think this would be an improvement over the current situation? And if so, why?
Yeah, well, like I said, the constraints of the space in Elizabeth makes it very difficult to operate, and you know, they're right now working out of they have to take everything down an elevator and to load it into the trucks on a daily basis. So this would make the operation a lot easier.
A lot more efficient, Mike?
Absolutely.
I don't have any further questions of this, Mr. Brennan. Does the members of the board have?
Thank you, Mr. Campbell. Do any members of the board have any questions for Mr. Campbell and/or Mike Brennan? I don't see anyone. Mr. Rego?
No, I have no questions. I'm just, I'm looking at Christian's report though, or well, Victor Venega's report, which I'm assuming will be addressed just in terms of recommendations that he's making.
Okay. Mr. O'Brien?
No questions at this time, Chairman. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? How about Mr. David? Any questions for Mr. Campbell or Mr. Mike Brennan?
In looking at the picture, so I see the proposed storage building, and then there are what look like two tractor trailers located there. So is this storage facility going to replace those tractor trailers, or?
Yes, it will.
They will. Okay.
So, Mike, therefore, this would present a more aesthetic appearance for the area?
Is that Mr. Campbell speaking?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead, Mike.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but I would say yes.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
And one additional thing, can Mr. Brennan describe the materials to be used in constructing the proposed storage building for record?
Yes, it is similar to the existing structure there in that it is a cement slab with all steel building. It does have windows and a garage door, regular steel roll-up garage door.
So trucks and other large motor vehicles would be able to enter this site?
Yes, you could get a mason dump into the building. It's about, I believe, a 30 by 40 building, 30 by 50 building.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Mr. Campbell, is that the end of your testimony? Is that all you have?
Yeah, that's the end for Mr. Brennan's testimony. I'll ask Mr. Safarisa, Charlie Safarisa, of the Director of Facilities for the county, to testify next.
Is Charlie on? Kathy, do you have Charlie on here? I see a phone number that's muted, but.
Me.
There he is. Okay.
Charlie, is that you?
Yes, I'm here.
Can you just state your name and for the record, please?
Yes, Charles Shirafisi, Chirafesi.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chirafisi, could you state what your title is and what your duties are and how long you've been carrying them out for the county?
Yes, I am currently Director of Facilities Management. Had that title for almost 6 years now. So our responsibility is we maintain all the buildings in the county, as far as all the trades, electric, plumbing, masons, carpentry, painting, everything.
Okay. Mr. Safari, could you provide more detail than Mr. Brennan did as to what purpose this building will serve?
Well, right now, like Mike was saying, we currently store our masonry materials all over the county. We have 3 locations. One's up in the mountains. We have some down here at the motor vehicle facility. We have some stored in the old jail at the courthouse here. Like Mike was saying, we have to, bring stuff up and down by use of elevator. So it's more advantageous to have this building in Kenilworth. It's kind of centrally located in the county, and we can fit everything under the one roof.
Okay. Just expand on what would the hours of operation be? Would they be the same that are currently at this site?
Yes, like 7 to 3:30, 7:30 to 4, no later than that. And this is only when they need to get materials.
Use, or is this consistent with what's already taking place there?
It's consistent with what's taking place there.
And would this be more efficient for the county in its use of resources than the current state?
Absolutely.
Do you have any other comments you can offer about this site?
No. It's easily accessible. Like I said, it's centrally located in the county, so it makes sense for us. And it's going to store, scaffolding, plank, cement, some cement mixers, things of that nature.
It wouldn't be a high volume facility, would it, in terms of traffic?
No.
Okay. How many vehicles do you think would enter and exit a day?
It depends. It could be 1, 2 a day. There may be, a week or a few days that go by that nobody goes there.
Okay. That's all the questions I have. Does any member of the board have questions?
Yes, I do. This is Rich Pacerno here. Charlie, if I may, what's your entrance and egress point? Where is that coming in and out of?
There's a 10 by 10 overhead door, and there's 2 36 by 80 walk-in man doors. One on the right side of the building, one on the back side of the building.
I'm sorry, I wasn't clear. From what point you're coming in from the boulevard? How do you get in there?
Oh yeah, from the boulevard into our service yard.
And that's over there by the same wall on the left. Is that how you're going in?
I'm sorry, repeat that, please.
How are you getting in? What street? Which way do you get in there and come out of there when you're bringing in supplies?
So you go in and out off of Kenilworth Boulevard. So that would be
I'm
next to
sorry,
the-
Charlie, one question. I'm sorry to interrupt, but you're not talking about the entrance to the golf course, are you?
No, entrance to the service yard, which is right next to the cemetery, kind of across the street from the Acme.
Okay. Okay. I know where you're going in now at this point. Now,
Right where that strip, those strip stores, that little strip stores are.
yeah, that's what I said earlier, like near the little mini mall. You're to the right of the little mini mall, you're going down that street to the right there, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions for these gentlemen? Okay.
No, sir.
No? Okay. Mr. Campbell, anyone else that you have?
Yes, my final witness will be Paul Lesso of the County Engineering Department.
Okay. Mr. Lesso, I saw you up there before. Oh, there you are. Hi, Paul. You're on mute, Paul. Bottom left. There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Can hear you now. That's a good
Good
commercial.
evening.
How you doing?
Very good.
Mr. Lesso, with regard to this matter, do you swear the testimony will be the truth?
I do.
Just spell your last name, please, for the record.
Lesso, L-E-S-O.
Okay. And if you could tell the board and the public what you're, who you are and what you do.
I'm a supervising engineer for the County of Union. I'm also licensed as an engineer and a land surveyor.
Okay.
Mr. Lesso, you have drawn up a site plan in regards to this matter, correct?
Yes.
And the site plan has been received by the Kenilworth Board of Planning, correct?
That's correct.
Now, are you able to look at the,
Excuse me, Mr.
or
Campbell.
can
Mr.
we
Campbell, Mr. Campbell,
collectively
excuse me.
look at the site plan so that you can describe it or answer any questions for the board?
I am.
Mr. Campbell, can you excuse me 1 minute? Kathy, can you mute everyone else except Mr. Campbell and Mr. Lesso?
I just muted Mr. Brennan. I thought he was the
Okay.
issue. And everybody else, I think, is muted.
Okay, so during this questioning, gentlemen, of course, you're going to go back and forth. If someone has a question, I'll see a show of hands. I'll direct Kathy to open up the mic, okay? There's too much background noise. Okay, I'm sorry, Mr. Campbell, for your interruption.
That's okay. I was, Paul, when I was watching, I'm able to watch what I'm seeing on my computer screen, although I don't have microphones or speakers to speak into the computer, so I'm using my telephone. But the reason I brought that up was because I saw before what looked like photos of the site, and are you able to, can we somehow all collectively look at the site plan?
I have the site plan up on my computer, so I can look at that. I'm not sure about the rest of the board.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I may, what the gentleman's referring to is Mr. Grimaldi had it set as his background so everybody could see it.
Right. If Mr. Lesso shares his screen, we should be able to see what he has.
Well, the host.
Let's see what I can do.
Kathy, can you enable Mr. Lesso to do it?
Well, do you have it on your desktop?
Well, I do. I have it on my remote desktop from the county, but it's
Okay,
the site plan.
You're
that was
connected right
provided
now
to
by
me.
your phone?
This is what I'm looking at. Can you see it?
Yeah, Mr. Grimaldi has the same site plan up in the bottom left. I don't know where you're looking, but Mr. Grimaldi.
Laura.
has that up.
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah.
That's it.
Okay. I hope this is satisfactory. I'm not an engineer. Paul, could you provide, please, details about your site plan for the board?
The site plan depicts that area of the Galloping Hill Service Yard where the proposed shed is to be located. That shed, as been previously mentioned, is 30 feet by 50 feet. The access to the site is from North 31st Street off of the boulevard.
There you go.
There's two other existing facilities there. It's the I guess, the fuel dispensing area, and there's an existing maintenance building.
Okay,
terms-
and
I was going to add, in
Somebody-
terms of the site, the property, I guess, to the southwest is at a higher elevation. And as I'm sure as the board knows, the boulevard is much higher than this location. So when you go from the boulevard onto North 31st, that will take you down into the site. So I don't foresee that there would be any drainage issues associated with this proposed building. Additionally, the area that the proposed location is impervious, so there would be no additional runoff generated.
is impervious, you said?
Yes.
Okay. Could you also testify about the not just the drainage, but any other questions the board had regarding this matter in regards to traffic access?
I'll confirm what was the previous testimony, that the access would be via North 31st Street off of the boulevard.
Okay. Is there adequate parking at this site for employees who may be working at this location?
Based on the anticipated, I guess, number of trips, 1 or 2 a day, the answer is yes.
Would there be additional lighting at this facility, at this location, because of this facility?
To my knowledge, it's not proposed.
Okay. There is already lighting here in the evenings at night?
I would defer that to.
Yeah, Mike or Charlie, could you answer that?
Yes, if on mute, can you hear me?
We can hear you, Charlie.
Yes, there's adequate lighting already there.
Okay. Paul, would this interfere with any neighboring properties, this shed?
In my opinion, no.
Okay. Would it have any impact on aesthetics to the surrounding area?
Quoting Mr. Brennan, it's in the eye of the beholder, but no, I don't think so.
Okay. Would you see this as any kind of additional use for the area that is already been beyond what is already existing?
Kevin, I didn't hear the second or third word that you said. Could you repeat that?
Okay. Could you tell me if this would have any additional use beyond what is already present? In other words, there's already a location there for obviously public facilities / maintenance operations. Would this be any kind of addition to that in a different area of use?
The area is already a maintenance yard, and it would just be. I don't think it would be it wouldn't be an expansion of an existing use. It's just it's the same use.
Mr. Lesso, I asked you to review the Kenilworth master plan earlier today. Did you have a chance to do so?
I did.
Okay. Would you, based upon your review of this matter and your site plan, would you say that could you tell the board if you think this would have any kind of impact or negative impact on the borough of Kenilworth?
I believe that it would have no adverse impact.
Could you say if this was consistent with what you read in the Kenilworth master plan?
Yes, this proposed building is consistent.
Okay. Mr. Lesso, any further comments would you wish to make regarding this facility?
No comments.
Okay. Just one last question. In your engineering opinion, is this shed been properly engineered to state and local requirements?
I believe it has, and that will also be confirmed by the building inspector, when a building permit is issued.
Okay. There's no wetlands or flooding issues in this remark, I believe you said earlier. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. I have no further questions. If members of the board do, please feel free.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lasso, Mr. Campbell. Does any members of the board or our professionals need to speak to the engineer? I don't see any. Is that you, Mr. Ladati? Show of hands or no? Okay. All right. Mr. David, please.
Yeah, if looking at the site plan, I believe that fueling area was something the board had previously approved, may have been last year, I can't remember, time goes by. But it looks like there's sufficient room between the new structure and that fueling area. But my question is will the new structure won't interfere with that fueling area, will it?
It won't, it will not.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Pantina?
Hi, Paul. Hi.
Hey, Nick,
Chairman.
how are you?
Good. Hey, would it be, I know this is a cursory review, but could the county supply the board just for the records? I think it would make it easier to try to visualize this building other than the 4 blue lines are on the plan, but maybe get a set of the fabrication plans, or I assume is it going to be like a masonry building, or are you going to like have a
It will
Quonset
be,
hut out there? Or?
it'll be a prefab, I believe, steel structure. I think Charlie Sharafisi could better describe it than me.
So maybe you could just provide a set of the fab drawings, like that could show 3D view of it, I guess.
That's certainly possible, yes.
Charlie, plans were given to the town.
Excuse me, Charlie, we didn't hear what you said there.
No, that was, I have Tom Skirnish, my Mason supervisor on the line. He said the plans were submitted to the town.
Okay.
Oh,
The plans
okay,
that the
Okay,
I'm
who's
sorry?
the plans that the board member asked for?
Yes. But we can resubmit them.
Mr. Campbell, before we go too much further, who is that just was just speaking?
This is Charlie Sharafisi.
Okay, thank you, Charlie. Mr. Kevin O'Brien?
Thank you, Chairman. Chairman, the plans that Mr. Chirafisi is referring to, they have been submitted to the building department for permits. And upon that submission, building department realized that a zoning permit needed to be issued and that it had to go before the planning board. So the particular plans about how to build the building are in the building department, but what you have is a separate image of what they are proposing and where they are proposing it. So those building plans are not appropriate for your review.
Okay, I just asked for those plans because Mr. David was asking how the fueling area was going to operate with the proposed storage building. And since you can't tell where the doors are, where any of the openings are on the 4 blue lines, I just kind of figured that the fab drawings might just let shed a little light, that's all. But no, whatever.
Anyone else? Christian?
Just a couple of questions. The proposed storage building looks like it's going over to replace those 2 storage containers that are on site. Are those 2 containers going to remain on site, or will they be relocated off?
I believe they've already been removed.
Removed off
The
site?
future plan?
Okay, Mr. Campbell, did you answer that?
Yes, I'm sorry, Charlie, could you clarify your answer? You said they've been removed from the site. Will they be permanently removed from the site to your knowledge?
Yes.
Okay. So Charlie says that they have already been moved, Mr. Pantina, and they're not coming back, correct?
No,
Correct.
my question wasn't about the trailers. My question was just to see what the proposed building was going to look like, to possibly shed some light on how the fueling area, possibly the drive up fueling area, and the access, I guess, ingress and egress to the building would operate. That's all. Again, I know it's a cursory review. I just thought it would shed some light on it, but if it's not under our purview, that's fine. Just comment.
So what was your train of thought there, Nick? Was it that you wanted to know how it would impact the fueling area opposed to the building?
Right before I asked the question, Mr. David had asked, he had commented about the existing fueling area and that it was probably something we reviewed last year, which it was. It was either this one or maybe behind the existing maintenance building, I'm not sure. But I thought he said, how will it affect the operations of each? So like I said, if you saw the fab drawings, you'd be able to see where the man doors are, where the overhead doors are, and possibly it would help. But again, it's not a big deal. I'll retract my comment.
Okay, sounds good. Anyone else from the board? Mr. O'Brien, are you okay with this?
Beyond the fueling area.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Campbell, you have the floor. Anything else for us?
No, I do have one possible issue going forward if the board is going to deliberate about a report that was mentioned earlier from maybe the board engineer. I'm not sure, it wasn't clear. But I've never seen this report. It's been kind of chaotic with the virus, and I'm not that handy with technology. But I don't think anybody if they sent me something, it was not sort of my attention, certainly wasn't drawn to it. But other than that, I'll just now conclude our presentation by noting that our engineer and our employees have testified regarding this facility, and that it, as per the requirements of the 40, 50-55, etc., that it does meet the criteria for a site plan. That's of course subsection 38, and it is consistent with the Kenilworth master plan, which is of course subsection 31. So based on that, based on the fact that this would be compliant with the Kenilworth master plan, which declares this area to be a public park area, and as this is a ancillary need for the park's use, Galloping Hills use, I would assert that again that this is compliant with your master plan. It does not have any kind of negative impact or influence on Kenilworth, and based on that and the fact that this is consistent also with the county master plan, I would urge the board to sign off on this. I guess if that's what happens in a courtesy review. Not very much clear law in courtesy reviews, to put it mildly. But I don't see, as I said, any kind of reason that Kenilworth would have to object to this choice. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell. Thank you, Mr. Brennan, Mr. Shirai, I believe I said that correctly, and of course, Mr. Lesso.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
At this point, Mr. Rego, I don't think we really vote on anything here because it is a courtesy review, but Mr. O'Brien is shaking his head as if we would vote to approve this, or I thought this courtesy review was just an acknowledgement of what was going on. You want to bring me up to speed, Kevin?
I defer to Mr. Rego. Initially, my suggestion would be that should the board wish to make any suggestions or any comments regarding the project, that they be put into a resolution as prepared by Mr. Rego. I think that any formal action taken by the board should result in a resolution to summarize the board's activities and decisions. Mr. Rego.
Mr. Rego? Unmute, Mr. Rego. Mr. Rego, look over here.
Oh, geez. Okay.
He can't help you.
We good?
Yes.
Okay. It just, at a minimum, it memorializes the fact that we had a courtesy review. We heard it. There's a record. And again, especially, so we can put that into a resolution that we can adopt down the road at our next meeting. It won't hold up the county at all. And if there are any specific recommendations, again, non-binding that we have, we can put those into the resolution as suggestions. And we would vote as we normally would.
Fine. Does anyone have anything right now to place a condition on what they're doing there? I didn't hear anything other than maybe the size of the building and its location to the fuel that we approved last year. But other than that, I don't think there is anything. Do we all agree?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So why don't we have a motion to, first of all, let me ask this. Is there anyone that has anything else to say about this? So let me ask you,
Mr. Chairman, I do have, sorry.
Who is that?
This is Mr. David.
Sorry, Mr. David. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I kind of forget the protocol in terms of comments from the public. Do we have to ask for or turn this over to the public for comment? Mr.
Rego? If there are public here that want to comment, fine. Again, with the proviso that we're not voting for or against. The only thing we're doing is acknowledging that we've heard it. That would be the vote, that we've concurred with the county. If there are any conditions, put them in. But if the public has any comments, we can certainly entertain them, and with the understanding that they're not going to, they may not find their way into a resolution.
So with that being said, why don't we do this? Let's have a motion to open this portion of the meeting to the public as protocol.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Moved
Second.
by Mr. David, seconded by who?
Mr. Mazzio.
Mr. Mazzio, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone from the public out there wishing to speak on this matter and this matter only?
Mr. Chairman, I do believe you have one member of the public that is currently attending this meeting virtually, and you have also provided in your meeting notice that anyone can call in during the public portion. There is a slight 30 to 60 second delay for YouTube Live. So if you would just mind waiting maybe a minute and a half.
Okay.
And if I get any calls here, I will let you know.
Okay, we will certainly wait. Thank you for that, Laura. Minute awfully seems like an awful long time all of a sudden, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah.
"30 seconds to go, Mr. Chairman."
I'm waiting for somebody to start with the do, 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 do.
I think you can close, Rich.
Okay, motion, someone give us a motion to close, please?
Motion to close the public portion of the meeting. Sorry. I will second.
Motion to close was made by Mr. Grimaldi, seconded by Mr. David. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Going back to the business at hand, I think we need to have a motion to, I really don't know what to say here. Is that a permission to grant this, or we recognize, Mr. Rego, help me out here?
It's not to grant or to deny. I think I would recommend that we concur, that we've heard the county and we concur. And my resolution will set forth the basics just one example, the building is 30 by 50 feet. If they come back and build one that's 40 by 80, then that might be an issue. But the resolution would highlight the key elements of the project, and we concur. We've heard it, we concur, no recommendations. That's basically it.
So based on the testimony of Mr. Campbell and his professionals, I will first recognize Mr. Mazzio, who just raised his hand. Go ahead, Mr. Mazzio.
Due to the fact that at least two of the board members brought up concerns regarding the proximity to the fueling building that's adjacent, do we just add some type of note that we're going to assume that the county will take any and all measures to protect that building from any vehicular traffic caused by the new storage building, something along those lines?
I'm sure Mr. Campbell wouldn't object to that, nor would the engineer, Mr. Lessa. Is that correct?
No, I think any sane person would agree to that. But Paul, if you want to comment whether you think that the garage doors are near the fuel area, please do so. I don't know if they are.
Well, I don't believe there'll be an issue. And I agree with you, Kevin. I don't think we would object to that, that particular comment being put in the resolution. I don't think it'll have any adverse impact on the operation of the shed or the fueling station.
Thank you.
Thanks. Mr. O'Brien?
Mr. Lesso, are you able to scale off the distance between the fueling station and the proposed building? Is there enough of a drive aisle there to set this to rest?
Well, you know what? I can tell you this, just roughly speaking, as you look at the site plan, so you can see that the building is dimensioned at 30 by 50. So I would say that you have at least 30 feet between the existing fueling station, which is also an overhang because the pumps are under there. So there's even more than 30 feet between where the building will be and the actual pumps. And typically, driveway double width, could be, lanes are 12 feet. So that would be, if you had two lanes going either way, that would be 24 feet. And we're certainly in excess of that. So there should be plenty of room to avoid any kind of conflict between the operation of the fueling area and the proposed shed's location.
Thank you,
Paul.
Paul.
More than adequate, Mr. O'Brien. Mr. Rego, do I need to hold up that sign again? Mr. Rego? Go ahead, Lou.
Press the button, Lou.
Oh, mud on the me.
Oh! Yeah, okay.
There you go.
We good?
Go ahead.
Is there a need for a condition then if those are the facts on the ground? In terms of,
I would say not, but I'd like to hear from the board. If Mr. Lesso is a polished engineer who has looked at the plan and said that it's 30 plus feet from the fuel station, and Mr. Campbell said only a fool would put that building on top of the fuel, I mean, I think that's good enough for me. I don't know about the board members, but I'm sure they're not going to put it on top of the station. Anyone want to comment on that?
I'm good with that, Chairman. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Schulte. I got you. I'm just looking at Nick sideways over there. So, okay. Anyone else? Okay, can we have a motion to say thank you very much for the presentation by Mr. Campbell and his professionals, and we will now hear from Mr. Grimaldi.
Making a motion to say thank you.
Okay. Someone want to second that?
I second the motion that the board concurs with the application that was presented.
So Mr. Grimaldi made the motion, Mr. David seconded the motion that we concur with everything that the professionals and Mr. Campbell has said. Roll call, please.
Mr. Paserno,
Yes.
Mr. Shoki,
Yes.
Mr. David,
Yes.
Mr. Grimaldi,
Yes.
Mr. Pantina,
Yes.
Mr. Mazzio,
Yes.
Mr. Ladowdy,
Yes.
Mr. Colella,
Yes.
Mr. Scuderi,
Yes.
Mr. Hobelario,
Yes.
Mr. Saharcheck,
Yes.
and Mr. McMahon.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen, and good luck with your project.
I'd like to thank the board for their cooperation and courtesy. And just on a funny note, I'd like the board to know that I put on a dress shirt and a tie for this camera that was never there. Thank you again.
Now you just got to get Mike Brennan to do that.
Thank you,
Okay.
Good night, everybody. Thank you and stay well.
Thank you. Take care. Take care, guys. Okay.
Bye.
So I think now we now up to the master plan consistency review for the land use ordinance. Is that correct? Kathy?
Yeah,
We did that.
we did
I
that.
think we
No,
did
we
that
did that.
Oh, I'm sorry, we did.
on the resolution.
We're going to the resolution, the authorization of the borough planner to conduct a redevelopment study and insert the block and lot. So now I was a little ahead of myself earlier. So Mr. O'Brien, would you like to take the floor with that?
Thank you very much, Chairman. I was in a bit of a rush to get out of Borough Hall this afternoon to get to my office so I'd be at this meeting on time. So when I gave these words to Ms. Moshida to insert the block and lot, I meant to insert the block and lot. It would be part of our resolution.
That's why I read it. I mean, I'm glad someone picked up on it. Insert block and lot.
Oh, Kevin, I took you literally. Oh my gosh.
I should have
Sorry.
explained it better. My apologies. We've never
Mr.
done this
David,
before.
Mr. David, it says insert block and lot.
Oh, I saw that and I was wondering, I had some comments to make about it, but I'll keep them to myself.
Sort of like your name here.
Oh, sorry.
So we will insert the block and lot. So Chairman, the resolution you have in front of you comes from the Borough Council. Borough Council has directed the planning board, us, to conduct a study of the North 26th Street redevelopment area as defined by the Borough Council. Our step is to then direct me, your planner, to conduct that redevelopment study and recommend to the planning board whether that property qualifies as a redevelopment area. Currently, the Borough Council has directed us to make this non-condemnation. There are two categories: condemnation, non-condemnation. Non-condemnation means that the borough will not exercise any of its legal rights to take this property, and instead the transaction is being done on a voluntary basis by all parties. So there's no eminent domain, no condemnation on the part of the borough. These are consenting parties who are working together. The study itself will go through criteria that the New Jersey statute has in place. Backtrack just for a moment. When we review use variances, occasionally we do, our power is based upon whether or not that application meets what we call the burden of proof. And we've got that three-pronged process: special reasons, positive criteria, negative criteria, all laid out in the statute. And that is the criteria by which we review those use variances. Similar situation with redevelopment. The New Jersey statute puts out about a dozen criteria. And if an area meets any of those criteria or more, then it can be labeled an area in need of redevelopment. And the study that you are authorizing to be done is to go through that criteria, to look at that site very carefully, do the research into the archives, into our files, and determine whether or not that area can be labeled an area in need of redevelopment. That study then comes back to you, the planning board. Planning board can adopt, revise, reject. And based upon what you do, you then send your recommendation to the Borough Council. And by ordinance, should you adopt it either as is or with revisions, you would send that to the Borough Council, and the Borough Council would then adopt it by ordinance. If you turn it down, you send that to Borough Council as well, and then they have to decide what they do then. So it's a process. It takes time. The professional planning study has got to be done, which takes time. And all of the parameters of that property have to be looked at very, very carefully so that the board is extremely comfortable in making its determination when you get the study in front of you. That's an overview. I welcome all questions.
Anyone have any questions at this point for Mr. O'Brien? Really? This is a study that's going to take approximately how long in your estimation, Kevin?
I'd like to maintain some flexibility on this. As we know, this is a large site. It's been an industrial site. There's an awful lot that needs to be looked at in determining whether or not whether this meets the criteria. So I would ask for the board's flexibility at this point in determining a due date, and I will consult with the board. I'll consult with the redeveloper and give you a better idea of that at our next meeting, if the board is pleased with that.
Okay, Mr.
O'Brien,
Mr.
I have a
O'Brien?
question. Yeah, Mr. O'Brien, does your study include environmental study or testing, or would that be included in your report, or?
It does not include any independent environmental testing, but we do take a look at the status of the environmental state of the site, and we include that in there. And that may be referring to documents from the redeveloper, but that aspect has to be considered and addressed.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Rego?
Kevin, can I be heard?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, Kevin, I'm assuming that your studies would also include photos, maps of the area, which the statute calls for maps. Just so anyone reading it can have a really good sense of the property itself. Is that accurate on my part?
That is correct. The statute requires a map that will be provided.
All right.
As well as other documentation.
All right. And when Kevin completes a report, we have to have a hearing on it. The planning board does, and it's a noticed hearing, and people can comment on it. And as Kevin said, if the planning board signs off on it, it goes to the governing body, which has the option then to put that area into a redevelopment zone. Then, getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, we would be tasked with the idea of, or Kevin would be, with coming up with a redevelopment plan. The actual what's going to go on the property, what does the borough want to see on this property, and then we would again down the road look at that plan to see if it's consistent with the criteria, and any redeveloper would come in having to meet that plan.
Correct.
Mr. O'Brien, would you need any assistance from our engineering people, Victor Venegra and Christian? Do you need any assistance there? Is this a study that you're going to present? And if you needed to tap into their information on the property at hand, would you be tapping into them at that point?
Noting, Mr. Chairman, that it is after 5 o'clock, we will definitely be tapping into that. I will be consulting with Mr. Venegra and Mr. Cueto.
Anyone else?
So question to that, Mr. Chairman, this is Mr. David. Who funds our professionals to do the study? I mean, this is not coming from the board's normal stipends. So how is their effort being funded?
Yeah, Mr. O'Brien, go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman. The redeveloper will establish an escrow account, which will pay for that study.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien.
Fairly significant escrow. For any of us that need to, if it's myself, Christian, Kevin, that escrow would fund those enterprises.
Very good.
That's the way we like it. Anyone else? So basically, the council has already voted on this, and now it's coming to us. Correct, Kevin? You okay, Mr. Rego?
Yes, I'm good.
Okay, so basically, if no one has any questions for Kevin, we need to take a vote on this and to have a motion.
So I'll make a motion to authorize the borough planner to conduct a redevelopment study.
Hold on one second, Mr. David, he is.
Sorry to interrupt, gentlemen. Mr. Chairman, I do note that the attorney for the redeveloper is on our meeting. That's
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Paparo.
I don't know if it's appropriate for you to hear him at this point. I just wanted to let you know that he's present.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Paparo. I'm sorry. You went on and off so many times. I see you now. Would you like to comment and add to this at this point?
No, Chairman. I think I'm here as a passive observer. I know this is the matter that the board needs to take under consideration on its own, like a typical resolution. And again, I'm just observing the proceedings.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Paparo. Okay.
Thank you.
I think we could just go ahead at this point with our motion. If there's nothing else, Mr. David?
Okay, I'll repeat. So I make a motion to authorize the borough planner to conduct a redevelopment study, which we don't have the block and lot, but for the appropriate block and lot.
Okay. Motion made by Mr. David.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mr. Mazzio. Roll call, please.
Mr. Paserno,
Yes.
Mr. Shilkey,
Yes.
Mr. David,
Yes.
Mr. Grimaldi.
Unmute.
Yes, okay.
David, thumbs up.
Mr. Pantina, Mr. Mazzio,
Yes.
Mr. Ladowdy,
Yes.
Mr. Colello,
Yes.
Mr. Scuderi,
Yes.
Mr. Hoberlario,
Yes.
Mr. Zaharchek. Are you still there?
Gone.
Gone. Mr. McMahon.
Yes.
Okay. All right, Kevin, we want that report on our desk tomorrow.
Aye, aye, sir.
Okay,
Sounds good, Chairman.
thank you. Okay, any comments for the good of the board? Seeing none.
I make a motion to open the meeting to the public.
Mr. David made a motion to open the meeting to the public.
Second,
Seconded by Mr. Scuderi. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone from the public wishing to speak at this point? And I think we still have to wait for that full minute. Am I correct, Laura?
Chairman, I have begun the timer for 2-minute count.
Thank you. I have to say, while we're waiting, I think this went a lot smoother than I think everyone thought it was going to go. So thank you very much, everyone. Hi, Mr. Shelkey.
Hello.
Chairman,
Yes.
it's Mr. Paparo from Porzio, Bromberg, and Newman. Can I be recognized?
Yes, as well, this portion is open to the public. I'm sure you can. Yes.
Sure. Since I'm here, I just wanted to provide the block and lot, if that's what you're looking for your resolution.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah, I think we have that. It's
Block
important.
183, lot 9.
Block 183, lot 9. Thank you very much, Mr.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Joe. You took us past the minute mark.
Did she say we're past the minute mark?
Yeah, 1 minute. We have one more to go.
30 seconds to go, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, let's see if we can hold our breath for 30. So Joe Colello, where you're sitting, if you move a little to the right, it will look like you have a halo around your head with that nice decorative piece on your wall.
Oh, yeah, that's perfect.
Oh,
2 minutes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, 2 minutes are up. Mr. David?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Motion was made by Mr. David,
Second, Shelkey.
seconded by Mr. Shelkey. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion
Aye.
adjourned.
Good night, everyone.
We have,
Good night. Nice job, Kathy and Laura. Thank you.
Wait, Kevin has his
Thank
hand
you.
up.
we have Kevin still up. Sorry, Kevin.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Chairman. This moved rather rapidly. Just to remind everybody that our next meeting is going to be July 9th. And I think we should all prepare to have another Zoom unless things change. Wanted to give everybody a heads up if, Chairman, you think that's appropriate.
No, I think that's great. I think regardless, we're going to set it up for a Zoom meeting. And I think when we post our meeting, I don't know if we have to do an and or, because maybe things will open up by that time, but we will definitely have a meeting. We will definitely have it by way of Zoom or at the town hall.
We'll need to make a decision about 2 weeks out, Chairman. That way the notice will be for what it is.
So why don't we just do this? Regardless of what's going on in our environment, let's just have the Zoom meeting to keep the confusion down. I think this worked just fine. What do we have up for next session anyway?
We have the Ariel case.
Right, the O'Reilly case has been, it's been carried to.
Edited,
July.
yes.
We have RJB Nevis at 121 South Michigan Avenue. That's been scheduled for July. And at this point, that is all I think that's going to be on. There's another 2 applications in process, but I think giving the Zoom meeting format, let's start with 2 and then,
Go from there.
yeah, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Grimaldi?
If the applicants, if we could ask the applicants again to provide PDFs on a jump drive, Kathy, I'll make sure we screen them and then send them back to the board again.
Okay.
Thanks for doing that again, Mr. Grimaldi. That was very nice of you to do for this meeting.
No worries.
Okay. Okay, anyone else?
Laura?
Oh, Laura, there you are. Hi.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to let you know that at the council meeting, there was a projected date given for the opening of the borough back to the public again, and we're projecting it to be July 6th. We're looking at that's just opening the building back to the public. We're also projecting to possibly have our first council meeting back in the building in person on August 9th, 26th, my apologies. But again, that depends on where the numbers are trending, but that's what we're hoping for.
So then I guess it would be prudent for us to stay with the Zoom meeting for July 9th.
Yes, we already do have that scheduled. And if it makes the members feel a little bit better, once you register for this meeting, this one that you just had today, it should be much easier to get on for the next meeting.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you. Well, and as someone already said, thank you, Laura, so much, and Kathy, for walking us through this. You made it very, very simple. And I know that it took a lot of time out of your night tonight, so we really appreciate that. I mean, you guys do a great job. Thank you so much.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn, someone?
We already were, but anyway.
I didn't hear you do that, but that's great. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.
Kevin, we're
Good night,
connected.
everybody.
Good night.